Well, I think we've caught outgoing Premier Rachel Notley in one last cover-up. This time, we caught her lying about the legal opinion given to her government about foreign-funded environmentalists by researcher Vivian Krause, and today I'll show you the documents to prove it. You know, I sort of kind of thought once we were finally liberated from the socialist yoke of the NDP, I could retire my What Is She Hiding video series. In that series, I've done, I don't know, at least a dozen videos detailing how Rachel Notley and the NDP have stonewalled my Freedom of Information request by taking ridiculous extension after ridiculous extension. I detail how they've thrown up paywalls to getting access to information totaling thousands of dollars, and I detail how they've returned no documents found as a response when we're asking for documents that we know exist. It's a stark contrast to the transparency we were once promised, and it's just another reason Notley is no longer Premier. But I think we've caught either Notley or her bureaucrats, or likely both, in one final lie as their time in charge comes to the unceremonious close that they deserve. Let me give you a bit of the backstory. It starts with the intrepid researcher Vivian Krause. She's been an absolute Sherlock Holmes when it comes to following the money trail of foreign-funded anti-Canada, anti-resource development, fake charities, and activist groups who are attacking Alberta's oil and gas industry. Krause, on her own, contacted a Calgary-based law firm to prepare a legal brief to give to the Alberta government, detailing all the ways the government could then legally choke off the foreign funding that is, in turn, choking off Alberta's oil and gas sector. Krause details what happened next in her Financial Post article published April 12th, just 4 days before Albertans took to the ballot box. The following spring, I retained a Calgary law firm which reviewed my research, did additional work of its own, and provided its legal opinion on May 31st, 2018. On July 10th, 2018, this legal opinion paper was provided to Notley's government. Nathan Rotman, Notley's chief of staff, confirmed by phone that it was received by the Premier, along with a 10-page memo prepared for her by the government's lawyers. Since then, Notley's office, including her chief of staff and others, has consistently given the impression that the government was considering legal action against Rockefeller. So, to recap, July of last year, 9 months ago, Krause gave the Executive Council a legal brief. She says Notley's office acknowledged receiving it. This is very important. And we can confirm Notley's office received it in another article that includes a statement by Notley herself about the legal brief and what she did about it after she got it. This time the article is written by the Calgary Sun's incredible Rick Bell. Back in Calgary, Notley is asked about Vivian Krause, the warrior who uncovered the foreign dough fueling the campaign to kill the oil sands. 8 months ago, a top firm of legal beagles handed Notley a legal opinion urging the NDP government to go to court and end the Rockefeller brothers' campaign to sabotage Alberta pipelines. Notley did squat. The Premier defends herself Friday. Notley says she got different legal opinions. The opinions we received back don't suggest what she's proposed will be particularly successful, says our NDP Premier. It would be great theater, but it doesn't look like it would be successful. Now, I've built a bit of a career on not being in the business of taking Rachel Notley at her word for much of anything. So we went looking for what should have been all the legal opinions given back to Notley when she says she took that first legal brief and had it examined by her own lawyers, what she called different legal opinions. We went looking for any of the internal communications the NDP had in the Premier's office when they received this gift from Vivian Krause to help them defend the oil patch. Let me show you what I asked for first. I asked the government to provide copies of documents related to the legal opinion that was provided to the government regarding foreign funding for environmental groups as referenced in this story. And that story I cite is Rick Bell's story that I told you about earlier that included all those statements from Rachel Notley. The date range I asked for was from January 1st, 2018 to March 25th, 2019. I used a time frame that I knew would catch just about anything and everything, if there was something. I went all the way back to January of 2018, knowing full well that according to Krause, the NDP were in receipt of her legal brief July of 2018. So here's what we found out. After a thorough records search was conducted by all program areas within the Executive Council, so that's the Office of the Premier, no responsive records were located. So there is not a single document, or so the bureaucrats tell me, in Rachel Notley's office about the legal brief provided to them by Vivian Krause. Not an email, not a text message, not a briefing note, no legal opinions, nothing. How can that be when Notley confirms that she received it? I think we've got one of a couple of different things happening here, or maybe all of the above. Someone is lying, and there is a cover-up at play. The NDP couldn't even provide for us a copy of the brief given to them by Krause. Where did that go? Did they immediately put it in the circular filing folder? You know, the garbage can? Or are they hiding what they actually said and did about Krause's legal opinion? Did they mock it? Did they fear it? Did they look for ways to ignore it because it would fix the problem the NDP clearly didn't want to fix? Or even worse, did they weaponize it by giving it to the foreign meddlers hired by the NDP like Sapora Berman, Tim Gray, and Ed Whittingham? Did they give the enemies of Alberta advance warning of our best plan of attack? Did the NDP sabotage us one more time on the way out the door? Someone is lying here. There's a cover-up happening. There is no possible way there are no documents related to Krause's brief. And like so much of what has gone on in this government over the past 4 years, I guess we'll only know the truth after Jason Kenney gets in there and gets his hands on the documents the NDP have not yet deleted or shredded. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. At the Rebel, for the past 4 years, we've been asking questions of Rachel Notley's government the mainstream media just refused to do. And I put a lot of those stories into my new book called Stop Notley, and in it I made the case for Albertans to throw out the NDP. You can get my book at stopnotley.com.